Welcome to This Week in Crowder College, an in-depth look into how Crowder College students, faculty, and staff are working together so students soar to new heights, communities are impacted, and lives are changed. This Week in Crowder College is sponsored by the law offices of Wood and Peterson in Neosho, specializing in workers' compensation, personal injury, Social Security disability, and more. Learn more online at neoshoattorney.com. Now here's this week's edition of This Week in Crowder College.
Welcome to a brand new week of This Week in Crowder College right here on 91.7 FM. Adam Winkler here with you. This week we're joined by Jorge Zapata. He is the head of the agricultural department out there at Crowder College. And Jorge, always great to talk with you.
You bet. Thanks for having us.
Well, the Ag Department is just a thriving program out there at Crowder College, and you guys always take a travel seminar trip somewhere, usually within the United States, and you guys went down to Florida starting January 3rd. And tell us about the travel seminar, why you guys do that, and why it's so important for the students to be involved.
Well, travel seminar has been a class that we have offered Crowder Ag students for more than 15 years, and what we were trying to do is to ensure that they have a 10,000-foot view of agriculture across the country, and we've traveled internationally as well. What we want to do is ensure that they have some perspective about how agriculture is conducted in different parts of the country, and they get to do 20-plus tours per travel seminar, and we visit different agricultural enterprises and organizations, whether it's processing or production or research, and they get to hear from the experts in those fields, and it's just a great experience for them just to see what's going on in the rest of the country.
Well, obviously the hands-on experience for them is great, but this is just not a trip that you guys say, hey guys, come on a trip for free. It's something that they have to work towards, and they have some sweat equity involved before they even get on the trip.
Exactly. Well, throughout the year, we do fundraisers to help offset the cost of these trips. And so these students are the first to help out. And so as they are accumulating points and we keep track of, who shows up to what in our different events. And as they're accumulating points, they're decreasing the cost of their attendance on these travel seminars. So they can earn their way for them to get a significant discount on that. And we use the money that we raise during these events to offset the cost of the trip. So it's a win-win all the way around. If you hustle, you get rewarded, and it's just kind of real world type of experience that they get.
Well, tell me about the choice. Why did you guys choose Florida this year?
We saw a post that went through social media. For as much junk as is out there on social media, it's a great way to disseminate information as well. And so I saw a post about a dairy, and one of my coworkers, Miss Stacy, she saw a post about a dairy that had gotten flattened by the hurricane Ian, and we saw those posts about the cows and the barns, etc. And so he just filed it away like, oh, that's terrible. And then when we started to talk about travel seminars, we both were thinking about the exact same thing about, hey, let's go help those folks out there. In a roundabout way, we finally got there because we went through some different venues to get hooked up with them. And so we knew that we were headed that way. Dakin Dairy is a large-scale dairy that, their barns just got blown away in the terrible hurricane. They had several hundred cows die, and so we knew that they needed some assistance, and we were headed that way. And so this was a travel seminar with a hint of service glued in there. We spent 3 or 4 days out there with the Dakins and helped them clean up the wreckage. They had pastures full of metal from the roofs of the barns and pipe and wire and all the things that were just strewn about. So you can do quite a bit of work with 17 motivated young people and some machinery, and we piled literally tons and tons of debris.
Well, Jorge, before we hand it over to Maddie Coates, one of your fine students, tell me about what makes your students so special and so successful when they get in the program there at Crowder College, and why Maddie's been such an outstanding student for you guys.
Well, I was just having this discussion with some of my coworkers at Crowder. Our ag students are the hardest working students that still have a genuine work ethic and understand that what you put into is what you get out of it. We have students that balance all kinds of responsibilities, whether it's doing chores at the farm before they come to school, or balancing work and family and animals and all the things that they have going on, full-time jobs and coming to school. I mean, our ag students are just outstanding at balancing lots of responsibilities at once. And for them to take time off to come and do these extra things is great. I think they understand that there's an investment that they'll have to make in their future. And so they're the last bastion of hope, I think, for our hardworking, our kids, that this generation may get a little bit of a a hard time, but I look at the future of our ag students and I see nothing but great things. Fortunately, I'm sitting here in Atlanta, Georgia right now at a giant expo with the future leaders of our ag industry, and they're actually interviewing now for some positions that they're going to have in the future. So I am confident in what's going to happen in ag, and I'm super glad that Crowder has a part in it. Our staff is outstanding in being able to be resources and advisors and cheerleaders and tail kickers when they need it. And so I think it's just a win-win combination. We have great students that come from great communities and great families and great FFA programs. And so all we have to do is we just have to polish them up and send them out. We're really blessed.
Well, Jorge, it's always great to talk with you. I know we'll be talking here hopefully in a couple of weeks. We'll talk about the convention that you guys are at right now, and also Aggie Days is coming up in March.
Busy as always doing something. You bet.
Well, it's always great to talk with Jorge Zapata. Now we're talking with Maddie Coach. She is a sophomore out there at Crowder College from Carl Junction, Missouri. And Maddie, thanks for being with us.
You're welcome.
Well, we were just talking to Jorge about the travel seminar you guys went on to down in Florida. And tell me about your excitement that you had leading up to the trip. And then as you guys got into the trip and helped on the farm down there, what were some of the things that you guys did and why was it so rewarding for you?
So, we left right as we got out of school during our Christmas break. We had a very long drive up there. We did split our drive up through a few days, and we made some stops on our way up there. We were able to stop at a peanut farm and talk to them about how they grow peanuts in the South and how that's a lot different from Missouri, and got to see that side of the agriculture. And then we also got to talk to them a little bit about the cotton that you guys grow down there as well, and just how different their soil and everything else is versus what we have here in Missouri with all of our rocks. So that was kind of cool to see. We did make it up there to Sarasota, where we stayed while we were helping on the dairy farm. We were up there for 3 days. We worked, and during that time, they had a lot of sheet metal that was ripped off their barns after the hurricane, and they couldn't let their cows out to the pasture because all of the sheet metal, and they couldn't risk the danger of them hurting themselves. So we did a lot of cleanup there, and then just a lot of little stuff that would have taken them a long time to recover from, we were able to get done in just a few days. So they said that it probably would have been a few weeks' work that we got done in 3 days. So they were very appreciative of that, and we were really glad to help. We all had a really good time and really got to learn a lot of new things, too, with how they operate down there, and then some new equipment, too. A lot of our kids got to drive some of their heavy equipment, which was really interesting as well.
Well, just a great experience, it sounds like, going down and helping out a family farm after Hurricane Ian took place in Florida. As we're talking with Maddie Coach, she is a sophomore at Crowder College from Carl Junction, Missouri. And you mentioned that you guys got to learn some interesting things down there while you were on the farm. And what are some of those things that you picked up that you maybe didn't realize, or maybe how they do things differently than what you've seen before?
So down there, it's a different environment. It's a lot hotter all year round than it is here. So we were talking to some of the people, and they were getting ready to plant some corn. And here in Missouri, you'd never dream of planting corn in January. So it was kind of cool to talk to them about how they grow some things there. And then their grass as well is green all year round and very different from what we're used to. And they have they're like a giant Roomba, but they water their fields, and they're testing those out. We got to see how those worked, and we got to see it while they were working, which was also very neat, how they're incorporating some of that new technology into their system, along with how large of a dairy it was. We're not used to seeing that here, and it was really interesting to see how they kind of run everything that is so large and how they incorporate different business aspects to keep it cheaper for them to run all around as well. So we got to see that.
Well, how special is it for you that the Crowder College offers you guys a trip like this, a chance to go and work in an environment that you guys haven't been in? I know in the past, Jorge has made his students keep logs and diaries of what you learned and aspects of servant leadership. And I'm sure that the experience in itself was so amazing, but the things that you've taken away from that and maybe just giving you a new passion for agriculture or for dairy farms that you haven't had before.
Most definitely. I mean, I would never get to travel like this if it wasn't for Crowder, and just being able to go to these places and see how different the agricultural is in Florida versus Missouri is really neat. And then also the owner there, we went to dinner with him one night, and he was offering us all internships, and just the opportunity to go back and really keep learning was pretty neat, and how supportive it was as well.
Well, if you could finally tell me about your plans post Crowder College, what you're hoping to do.
I'm hoping to go straight into the workforce. It's the goal. I'm going into the processing, so hopefully to be a butcher one day. Doing some interviews here where we're at today in Atlanta will hopefully help me get there, and just meeting connections and meeting new people will really expand my knowledge and things like that. So,
well, Maddie, it was a joy to talk to you today on This Week in Crowder College. Keep up the great work, and congratulations on all the things that you guys have accomplished. And just thank you for the servant's attitude that you guys had down there in Florida, helping people recover from the hurricane. And best wishes down there in Atlanta.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to This Week in Crowder College. This Week in Crowder College is sponsored by the law offices of Wood and Peterson in Neosho. You can listen to this broadcast again by going online to kneo.org or to crowder.edu. Tune in once again next week for another edition of This Week in Crowder College on KNEO 91.7 FM.